Thank you all for taking time to attend our talk. And thanks to conference and workshop organizers for making this possible in times of COVID-19. In this presentation, me and Vasily will be discussing our thoughts to improve Bootstrap-based Ensemble ML techniques for higher computational performance. Parts of this presentation are coming from previous publications of the authors. It is discussed very briefly for sake of completeness and motivation for our current work. Aspects of decisions under uncertainty are studied in multiple disciplines. Many theories and approaches are used to understand how and when a person chooses among several and ultimately comprehending the consequences of the choices from an individual or group's perspective. Traditionally, psychologists use surveys. More recently, researchers have been analyzing data collected from computer games or tasks such as BART, GURPS, dealer discounting, gambling tasks, among many. Results from this study benefit numerous fields. For example, more recently, HI at Stanford University applied models from risky decision making to COVID-19 use cases. Our initial work involved implementing sequential and parallel versions of an algorithm. We used OpenMP and MPI parallel programming methods. Compared to sequential version, parallel version was 44 times faster. We also implemented a parallelized version using shared memory system on GPU. Our implementation optimized the order of execution in clustering for improvements, during which we compared different numerical libraries' performance. Compared to serial version, parallel implementation was roughly 137 times faster. In general, we used algorithm proposed by Lee Newman, which includes following steps. Creation of bootstrap datasets, running an ensemble of clustering algorithm on these bootstrap datasets with different parameters, aggregating results, drawing metrics of interest, such as identifying individual differences. Figure on the right is flowchart for clustering algorithms, in which we have used same color codes to identify steps that result in redundant computations. So one way to achieve a faster execution is to minimize the number of such redundancies.
As a prototype of repeated redundant computations that one expects to encounter in an ensemble method, we consider this program that essentially computes squared Euclidean distance between vectors. Here we have as an input three vectors a, b, and c, and we are interested in computing these two quantities as described over here. Figure on the right captures x86 assembly code generated for the disk program on vectors a, b, and c. In the assembly code, we used different color schemes to highlight repeated computations based on actual data values and operations. Computations are then drastically reduced if we assume unique computations were only computed upon first occurrence and stored result is used for subsequent ones. However, this is tightly subjected to the dataset and resulting computations. Current compilers do this to a limited capacity under the restriction of being data agnostic. In the subsequent discussion, we relax this restriction and assume compiler is aware of data values for improvements in optimization techniques. We now briefly describe a framework that enables us to study redundant computation as described previously. To that end, recall that a typical ML ensemble clustering algorithm consists of, let's say, L distinct clustering algorithms B1 through BL, and each of these algorithms has some parameters that can be adjusted. On the other hand, for a given data set D, we also consider K bootstrap data subsets D1 through Dk. For each of these sets dt, we also consider all of their subsets, which are denoted as over here. So now, we define a central object of this presentation, namely the notion of a computational unit, which we abbreviate by CU. For our purposes here, computational unit is an atomic unit consisting of both data and mathematical computations operating on the data set. Note that since we have a finite number of bootstrap datasets and a finite number of clustering algorithms, then we will have a finite, likely very, very large number of computational units. We now illustrate these points with an example. Going back to the disk program, our initial dataset consists of three vectors a, b, and c. Therefore, there are 8 subsets of the set D as given over here. On the right-hand side, we have identified all non-trivial computational units operating over these subsets. Note that we use this notation over here to denote the jth computational unit acting on a subset Di. As an example, in order to compute the quantity DAC, we first identify corresponding computational unit. Note that the data corresponding to these vectors belong to A and C, and hence the computational units that play the role in the computation of DAC will correspond to this sixth subset of D. Hence, we have a superscript over here. Finally, the arrows denote that the previous computational units have to be computed before the subsequent units can be executed. For example, note that units M1 and M2 needs to be executed before their product can be computed. Now, it is easy to visually identify that even though some of these units here are differently labeled, they are in fact the same, as noted over here. This is exactly what we have observed in the original assembly code we have seen previously. Including these repetitions, one can observe that there are 18 computational units, which along with the dependencies among them completely describe the DIS program. On the other hand, among these 18 units, as we have said, it is easy to identify the ones that are distinct. In this first column over here, we have identified the distinct CUs, and in order to simplify the notation, we have simply relabeled them as M1 tilde through M10. Note that we are also using this tilde notation to distinguish that these units are unique, non-repeating CUs. Finally, at this last column, we have also indicated the dependency relationship between these units. Note that there are 10 non-repeating units, which along with their dependencies again describe completely the DIS program as we have seen previously. Dependency between these computational units can be captured in multiple ways, either using sequences or, for our purposes here, using the notion of the interaction graph, which we denote G tilde. Here, the arrow denotes that M1 has to be executed before M2, M2 has to be executed before M5, and so forth. Also note that this interaction graph is in fact a directed acyclic graph, or DAG for short. Therefore, the collection of all distinct units M tilde along with the corresponding interaction graph in fact describe the DIS program completely. Now that we have seen that there are multiple ways of characterizing an algorithm, we focus on an approach leading to its faster execution. To that end, we propose the following process. Decompose an ensemble clustering ML algorithm into a collection of computational units M, and then identify and collect the distinct ones along with their interdependencies. Finally, find an aggregation of computational units C with execution costs lower than that of M, hence the improvement. And then in step 4, we propose a floor-tile planning approach for an efficient execution of this aggregation of CU-C on a specific compute resource. In regards to step 3, one can clearly see that different aggregations of CUs is possible. Selecting the most optimized aggregation is subject to underlying compute. For instance, for a machine with infinite resources in terms of compute cycles and memory, executing M tilde would be the most efficient. But in reality, that is not the case, and the type of aggregation one needs broadly depends on the following 3 categories of machines. Namely, we have the restrictiveness with respect to the compute resources and memory. So, as a way to capture these limitations over here, when choosing the aggregation of computational units, we introduce the following notion. An ordered list C of the subsets of M tilde is said to be an RS set cover of M tilde if the following conditions are satisfied. Namely, the union of all of the subsets comprise the whole M tilde, the cardinality of each of the subsets is no more than R, and an arbitrary computational unit of AI can be executed based on the tasks from the previous S layers of the units from AI through AI minus S. Now note that if only condition I is satisfied, then this corresponds to the classical notion of the set cover. However, the RNS here is supposed to capture the restrictiveness on the computational resources and the storage. Namely, under the assumption that each computational unit is of unit cost, this condition says that R units can be executed at a time. Furthermore, we use S to denote the storage to designate how many previous computations can be stored and reused for the subsequent computations. Therefore, this notion of an RS set cover is going to allow us to choose an appropriate aggregation of computational units depending on the compute resource available. Given the interpretation of an RNS parameters in terms of the computational resources and storage, The natural question to ask, what is the smallest s for which an RS set cover of M tilde exists? It turns out that determining what is the smallest s is a generalization of a directed bandwidth question for the directed acyclic graph corresponding to this M tilde. Therefore, for a given DAG, bandwidth signifies how long a computational unit can be kept in a memory for reuse. So, across different variations of DAG, bandwidth for us signifies the metric to assess the memory requirement.
For validating proposed formulations, we use the scaled-down version of the algorithm while conducting a simulation. In this version, we only considered the k-means clustering algorithm, varied other parameters such as bootstrap datasets, number of clusters, and kept the distance metric to be constant as Euclidean distance. We developed a generic FTIP simulator for studying redundancies. In this simulator, one specifies a source file with information on the DAG generated by a particular ensemble method. Furthermore, the simulator can generate a variation on the DAGs for redundant computations under different randomizations. Underlying technologies in the simulator is written using Python programming language and Neo4j graph database. Graphs in A and C are partial views of DAGs generated for M, the original aggregated CU, and then M tilde, the DAG when all redundancies are removed. Moreover, our experiments conducted a simulation study for different versions of DAG in B. One can notice that the graphs become less busy when redundancies are removed. Graphs resulting from M tilde, MS are studied for metrics such as number of vertices, edges, and graph bandwidth. Variation is introduced by changing the datasets for object sizes of 8, 16, 32. Following data points for M tilde, one can see trends signifying presence of lower and upper bound. And storing intermediate results for different S has values lying in between. This is good as it supports evidence for further optimization. In summary, in this work, we looked at avenues to improve the computational performance of ensemble methods. Our proposed approach lies at the intersection of HPC, compilers, and reinforcement learning algorithms. Newly proposed RS set cover along with the FTIPS framework help us identify and reduce previously undetected redundancies. The FTIP simulator used to obtain these results is made available on GitHub for wider community use. Finally, in the next phase, we plan to continue this study with additional randomization to extend it to include more comprehensive ML models. Thank you all for your attention.